Hello. This is Trustee Foyt.
Mute right quick. Hey, Trustee Foyt, thank you for joining.
Happy to be there.
Hello.
There, here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Howdy.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good.
We reading.
Yeah. So click on.
Hi, Karen, Jerry, Elizabeth, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Floresto, did Kelvin ask you about a contract I got from someone called Steve Winter, an SB licensee agreement?
No, we haven't discussed that.
Okay, I got it. It's not coming in from the normal way, so I was wondering if anyone's familiar with it before I open it up.
Okay. Yeah, and I can help follow up with that, Jerry, if needed, and talk to Kelvin and the administrative team if you like.
Yeah, please.
Okay, will do.
Meanwhile, I'll just leave it in there. I won't touch it.
Okay.
Hello. Who is Dean R?
I have no idea. This is trustee Foyt.
Maria, I believe that's Dr. Rosalind Dean.
Yep, I just thought about, yeah. He's
Okay.
UNLV, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, this is September 1st at 1 p.m. And this is the meeting of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District Board of Trustees Finance and Audit Committee. Do I have someone here that can do roll call?
Yes, absolutely. Hi, Maria here.
Hi.
Hi, Chair Dukowski,
Present?
Dr. Keith Rogers, Vice Chair Turner Whiteley, I'm sorry. Trustee Foyt,
I'm the secretary. Yes, I'm here.
Trustee Fittler,
Hi, I'm here.
thank you. And for the record, we see Trustee Jones,
Yes, I'm here.
Sanchez, Trustee Sanchez.
Yes, hello.
Hi, Trustee Williams Jr.,
Yes, I'm here, present.
Trustee Prophet,
Present.
Trustee Jaron, and
Simmons.
Council Walt.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Do we have any public comment?
No public comments at this time.
Thank you. So do I have a motion to accept the proposed agenda for today?
I do so
Motion.
move.
Thank you.
And motion seconded by Trustee Fiedler.
All right, the item on our agenda, item 4, is update on the district's financial operations for discussion only. Chief Finance Officer Floresto Caballas, I want to turn the time over to you.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Maria, if you could pull up our presentation. And while Maria is pulling up the presentation, I would just like to say again, yeah, I'm Floresto Caballas, the district's Chief Financial Officer. And I'd like to thank all of the trustees on the committee and all other trustees for attending today. We just discussed the adopted budget a couple months ago, and we're still on track. That's one of the things I wanted to let the trustees know, that financially things are going well. This is just an update. We normally perform at this time to let the trustees know how we're looking, and with the upcoming financial statement audit, give you a heads up on where we stand as of the end of last fiscal year. And so I'll walk through where the district stands as of June 30th, 2026, which is the end of fiscal year 2026. And Maria, if you can launch the entire presentation there so we can get a bigger picture of the slides. These are unaudited numbers, but they do give us a clear real-time picture of how we finish fiscal year 2026. So a few of the figures can still shift slightly once we complete standard year-end adjustments and our auditors finish their field work. Can we go to the next slide?
There is a delay. 1 second, please.
Okay.
You see it? No?
And I'll continue while, these slides are, upcoming. And Maria, there is a preview slide there that everyone might be able to see if that's something you can remove, but I'll let you, work on that. But in the meantime, financial and economic overview. I'll start with looking at it from a higher level before getting into the individual numbers, because I think it helps to understand the story until now. This hopefully will be the last time I refer back to the pandemic, but if we start there, the last several years have really been about riding a wave. Like first, there was the shock of the shutdown, then an unusually strong, almost artificial rebound fueled by stimulus and pent-up demand. We've discussed that in the past. But what we're seeing in fiscal year 2026 is the tail end of that ride, like finally leveling off into what seems something like a normal, sustainable growth pattern. That's actually good news, even though it doesn't feel as exciting as the years of double-digit jumps we've seen in some numbers, as we've discussed in prior meetings. But on the spending side, we didn't just get lucky with where we ended there with savings. Staff was, we can go to the next slide, Maria. Staff was intentional about following the executive director's fiscal guidance when it comes to spending. We came in meaningfully under budget, and I wanted to spend a minute on the next few slides showing you exactly where that discipline shows up, because it's not just on one line item. It's consistent across salaries, supplies, and capital spending. And to give you the short version before I get into specifics, revenues held up a lot better than some of the headlines might suggest, and spending, of course, stayed disciplined, and we closed the fiscal year in a position that gave us real flexibility going into fiscal year 2027. And starting with the consolidated sales tax, since it's the revenue source that tends to move the most and draw the most questions, CTX had a good year, up about 3.9% from fiscal year 2025 and about 1.8% ahead of what we budgeted. We're holding the line for fiscal year 2027, keeping the budget essentially flat with this year's actual collections. And this isn't us being overly cautious for no reason. CTX is the one revenue source that really does move with the broader economy. So we deliberately don't bake in a repeat of a good year. If it happens again, then the upside we can use. But if we don't have another good year, we're not caught short. I also wanted to address what's often a popular media narrative that Las Vegas tourism and the economy is in trouble. We've talked about this also over the last couple of finance committee meetings, and that storyline has actually picked up a new angle recently. The story now is not just about visitor counts, but coverage tying slowdowns to tariffs, gas prices, the cost of living. And I don't want to minimize those factors. Those are real pressures for a lot of workers in this community, but staff also puts just as much focus on the factors that the district is directly experiencing, which is higher CTX revenue. We then reconcile that information with the headwinds discussed in the media, things like inflation pressure. One explanation for the higher revenues, despite economic pressure that we know are on consumers, is what I'm sure you've already heard of, what economists call the K-shaped economy. You start in the middle of the K, and one line goes down to the right. Those are lower and middle income households that are feeling squeezed by inflation, higher borrowing costs, tariffs, gas prices, and other pressures at the moment. They're the ones cutting back. But there's the other line on the K that goes up, and to the right. And those are the higher income households, of course, the premium spenders that appear to be doing just fine. And in some cases, they're striving. Their spending isn't just holding steady, but it's often growing. So lower spending by one group is being offset by higher spending in another group. And at least for fiscal year 2026, what we're seeing is the net effect of higher revenues. So our CTX grew and beat the budget in fiscal year 26. And as you see on the next slide, property taxes is telling an even steadier story because that growth is coming from something much broader than just visitor counts on the strip. It's population and assessed value growth across the whole county. And you see here that property tax is really the steady hand of our revenue picture. And this year is a good example of why. We came in at $76 million above the budget. That's about 9% from last year, and just slightly under, what we budgeted. The $76 million is what we actually collected for fiscal year 2026. And looking ahead, we've budgeted $81.9 million for fiscal year 2027, which is another solid step up, close to an 8% increase. And what I want to emphasize here isn't just the growth rate, but why we can count on it. Property values in Clark County keep climbing, but Nevada's abatement caps are acting like a shock absorber. So we never see a spike in one direction or a steep fall in the other. And that kind of predictability is exactly what lets us lean on property taxes to offset the more volatile swings we just talked about with sales tax. On the next slide coming up, we look at the spending side, and we closed fiscal year 2026 having spent about $94.2 million against a budget of just over $103.9 million. That's roughly $9.7 million, or a 9% amount that's coming in under budget. And this wasn't just in one category. As you can see here, the savings showed up across the board. Salaries and benefits came in about 7.6% under budget. Services and supplies came in 18.3% under, and capital outlay, which is our library material spending, came in a bit under as well. The biggest single driver, and something, again, we've discussed in these committee meetings, is how we budget personnel. We build the budget as if every authorized position is filled all year, even though in practice, our vacancy rate typically runs around 8 to 10%. In prior meetings, I've cited higher percentages, but after taking a closer look, we average closer to 10%. And that is reflected in the savings you see here. With a vacancy rate of about 8%, you see that the savings we've realized in fiscal year 2026 is about 8% under what we budgeted. And that's a deliberate choice that this committee has supported. It protects us from ever going over budget on payroll, and the savings it generates each year is a big part of what funds the reserve growth that I'll show you next. On to the next slide. So here, I'm sorry, Maria, if we can go back one slide. Here there are some talking points about the ending fund balance, and we budgeted an ending general fund balance of about $15 million for the year, which is about 15% of budgeted spending. That's the safe rule of thumb that we've practiced over the years. And that's after sending $18 million over to the capital projects fund. What actually happened in fiscal year 2026, as the dust has settled and we're finalizing the numbers, is we ended the year with a $33.8 million ending fund balance, and that's about 36% of actual expenditures. And again, that's after that same $18 million transfer out to the capital projects fund. And the difference between budget and actual is really just a combination of the two things I just walked through: revenue coming in a bit ahead of plan and spending coming in meaningfully under plan. For fiscal year 2027, we built in a bigger transfer to capital projects, $27 million, which tells you that we're not just sitting on a cushion in the operating fund. We're putting funds to work on future needs. And speaking of the capital projects fund, it closed the year with a fund balance of about $67.1 million, which is also higher than budgeted, but that's not the result of new funds or money showing up. The higher fund balance in the capital project fund is reflective of the fact that several technology and building repair projects are still underway or got pushed to fiscal year 2027. So those dollars are still earmarked in the current fiscal year rather than being unspent surplus from the prior fiscal year, 2026. Before I conclude, I wanted to take a moment to again acknowledge the fiscal leadership from Executive Director Watson and the support of all the trustees in how staff manages finances. The district is in a healthy position because of the efforts of the administration and their staff across the entire organization. I had a chance to appreciate that myself just this morning, where the library district department heads had the opportunity to listen to a presentation from management at the Regional Transportation Commission. And I'm sure we would all agree that just like the district, the RTC provides a very valuable service to the community in the form of public transportation. And unlike the district, though, the RTC doesn't have the same financial flexibility we have here. They are allocated a budget of the Clark County budget, which amounts to less than 1% of the total county's budget. And management of RTC actually plans to go to the legislature to ask for changes that can increase their revenue sources in order to continue operating at optimal levels. And again, according to the RTC and their management, if they do nothing, 42% of their services will be cut, which means jobs will be lost. And all of that means longer wait times for the community, fewer routes, and increased congestion on the streets. And it just reminded me of the fortunate position we're in here at the library district. And I'm just glad to be able to report positive news to the trustees. And even in a less positive economic climate, we would report how staff would navigate through any of those challenges. So again, we will definitely keep having these regular meetings to keep the committee and all the trustees informed. So on the next slide, I'll go ahead and pull it all together. We closed fiscal year 2026 on an unaudited basis. Again, the numbers could change, but we closed in a strong position. Both of our major funds, the general fund and the capital projects fund, ended well ahead of what we planned for. And we did it through a mix of solid revenue performance and just genuine spending discipline. Again, that's always our practice. The fiscal year 2027 budget we've already adopted keeps that same conservative approach. We've been consistent. So we're not assuming this year's good fortune just automatically repeats itself. And we're keeping a close eye on sales tax and property tax revenues. And as the year unfolds, we'll bring you updates as always. Just to give you a look ahead on the audit timeline, our auditors will start fieldwork next week on September 8th, right after the holiday. I hope all of you have a nice and safe holiday weekend. And once that audit is complete, staff will bring the results to this committee at a November committee meeting. You'll be hearing from Maria soon, asking for your availability in November prior to the November 12 board meeting in order to schedule a finance and audit committee meeting to evaluate the results of the audit. And assuming everything checks out the way we expect, staff will ask this committee for a motion at that meeting to recommend that the Board of Trustees accept the audit when it meets on November 12th. Chair Dukowski, that's all I had. I'm happy to take any questions.
I don't have a question, Floresto, but I will compliment you on your presentation and the clarity of the information you provided to us. Not just the slides, but in how you explain things. You do an excellent job, and it's much appreciated.
Thank you, Secretary Foyt.
Do we have any other discussion?
I have a question. This is Trustee Fiedler for the record. Is my memory from a recent trustee meeting that the unionized staff will be renegotiating their contract this fiscal year, or is that not coming up yet?
Yes, that's correct. The organization and the union will be looking to update the collective bargaining agreement effective July 1st of 2027. That would be the 2020 fiscal year. And staff is preparing to meet with the union to have those discussions now. Human Resources Director Serpico is attending. If Jeff, you would like to speak to that.
Yes, negotiations for our 4 contracts will probably begin in May to be wrapped up hopefully by July. For preparation for that, we do engage Gallagher Consulting for our compensation and benefits survey to ensure we have adequate data going into the negotiations.
Okay, and is Gallagher the organization that we worked with when we were negotiating?
Previously, yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Are there any other items of discussion or comments? Okay, good. Thank you very much. Appreciate, this is always amazing to me, how wonderful the organized the report is, and that the fact that we continue to have the money that we need to move forward. I appreciate that. And, so at this point, do we have any more, public comment?
No public comments at this time.
Thank you, Maria. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, and so I'd like to entertain a motion to close the meeting.
I motion to close the meeting. Trustee Fiedler for the record.
Thank you.
I'll
Do we have a
second
second?
it, trustee. Mhm.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Appreciate it. All right, everyone have a, we'll close the meeting then, and it is 1:20 p.m. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a safe day. Stay cool.
Bye-bye.
Y'all have a good
Thanks,
day.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.